Hi, Dad! Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Weary Lore. It's been a long time. It's been wild. But let's get right back into your brief introduction into SCP. Today, we're going to dive into more of the behind-the-scenes SCP. But don't worry, we will get to the monsters, and the more obscure ones at that. Today, we're going to talk about security clearances and staff titles. Exciting stuff. Titillating, if I must say so myself. Anyway, let's start with security clearances. There are 6 security clearances in the SCP Foundation, 0 through 5. Let's start at the bottom and go up. Level 0, aka for official use only. This one is pretty self-explanatory. No security clearance is no security clearance. This is the clearance that gets you in the door, like getting conditional security clearance to get onto a military base. This clearance is given to non-essential personnel with no need to access information regarding the Foundation. Usually, this is those workers in non-secured clerical, logistics, or janitorial positions. Level 1, aka confidential. Level 1 security clearance still gives you pretty much no security clearance. The difference is, these staff members can work in facilities where there is information and there are containment cells. They are still usually clerical, logistics, or janitorial positions. Level 2, aka restricted. Level 2 is where you finally start to get some access to information. You finally get to see behind the veil. Level 2 security clearance is given to security and research personnel with direct access to information regarding the objects and entities in containment in the facility. This is the security clearance given to most research staff, field agents, and containment specialists. This is the security clearance that a large portion of the SCP workforce will hold. Level 3, aka secret. Level 3 is where you start to get special. You're not just some nobody that can poke around monsters anymore. You're a senior nobody that can poke around monsters. Level 3 security clearance gives staff access to in-depth data regarding the source, recovery circumstances, and long-term planning for the objects and entities in containment. This clearance is given to senior research staff, project managers, security officers, response team members, and mobile task force operatives. That's a lot of different titles. Don't worry, I'll explain them to you shortly. Level 4, aka top secret. You have to be someone to get level 4 security clearance, and I really mean that. You have to be senior administration, such as the site director, security director, or mobile task force commander to hold this clearance. It holds a lot of power. This clearance gives access to site-wide and/or regional intelligence. That's not all. It also gives access to long-term strategic data regarding Foundation operation and research projects. So, like, the really important stuff. Level 5, aka Thaumiel. There it is, that word that confused this long-time fan. Anyway, did I say you really had to be someone to get level 4 security clearance? That means nothing compared to level 5 security clearance. Absolute diddly squat. Level 5 security clearance is really only given to members of the O5 Council, and maybe some very selective staff. That's because it grants effectively unlimited access to all information to do with the Foundation, from strategic information to the most sensitive of data. If you had aspirations of taking down the Foundation from the inside out, level 5 security clearance is definitely what you would want. But there's no one who would want to do that, right? Moving on. Now that I've said all those different types of personnel, you surely want to know what those titles mean. So let's jump right into that. Staff titles. We're going to start with site staff. I'm going off a list, so it's really in no specific order, but it's mostly from least important to most important. So, starting at the bottom and going to the top again. Site staff. Containment specialist. Out of all the jobs at the SCP Foundation, I think I would steer clear of this one, and some others, and that other one. You know what? I don't think I want a job at the SCP Foundation. Anyway, there are a couple of subsets of the Containment Specialist staff title. There are the Containment Specialists who respond when cases of anomalous activity are confirmed. It is their job to establish initial containment and transport whatever has been found to the nearest containment site. The second subset and containment specialists are the containment engineers and technicians. They're the ones who create the different types of containment that are used in the Foundation. It's also their jobs to refine and maintain these containment units and schemes. Knowing some of the containment schemes, this might be where the real monsters lie, but we haven't gotten to that yet. Researcher. The staff title of researcher, like level 0 security clearance, is pretty much self-explanatory. It's being a researcher at the SCP Foundation. However, not just any regular scientific mind can make it into the ranks. The Foundation only hires the very best trained scientists. They are sourced from around the world and are in branches from chemistry and botany all the way to theoretical physics and xenobiology. Simply studying the entities contained by the Foundation is not the researcher's goal. Their goal is to gain a better understanding of them and how they operate. Now, to what ends? Security officer. Ever seen a security guard on a power trip? Well, imagine that, and then accept that they deserve the power they think they have. On-site security officers aren't only responsible for physical security, but also informational security. They are also sourced from the best, recruited from the military, law enforcement, and correctional facility personnel. They have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders, and are trained to handle it. They are trained in the use of all types of weapons, as well as being trained in contingency plans. They are the first line of defense if a containment breach happens or if a hostile incident happens. Oh, there's those people trying to take down the Foundation again. Why would they ever do that? Tactical Response Officer. Tactical response officers, who are part of tactical response teams, are pretty much the military of the SCP Foundation. They are highly trained and very heavily armed. Security officers, with all due respect, don't hold a candle to them. One of their main responsibilities is escorting containment teams when the item or entity they are containing is considered to be hostile. This includes hostile groups of interest. More on them later. These response teams are also involved in protecting Foundation facilities, working with security officers and teams when needed. Field personnel. Field agent. Field agents are spies. Just hear me out here. They are legitimately called undercover units. They are the eyes and ears of the Foundation out in the field. They scan for anomalous activity and strange phenomenon and report it back to someone. After reporting, they will get assistance from field containment teams to secure the object or entity. But I don't actually know if that's who the initial report goes to. Anyway, they are spies because they are often embedded in local services, like emergency medical services and regulatory organizations. You know, I think I could do this job, as long as I got to stay far away from the scary things. Mobile Task Force Operative. The mobile task forces are complicated. I'll give you a short introduction here, but we'll have to go more into them later, as there's so much information on them. If you want to equate the mobile task forces with something from real life, think Navy SEAL, Marine Raider, or Green Beret. They are specialized units made up of veteran field personnel. You know, the best of the best of the best. Sir! Task forces are mobilized to deal with specific types of threats. This can be a particular type of anomaly or a heavily armed combat unit securing hostile entities, or anything in between. Like I said, more on them later. Administration. Site Director. Site directors are site directors. They're your manager. They're the highest ranking personnel at a location, and they are responsible for the safety of that location. Now, that's actually quite a lot of responsibility. You see, a containment breach could mean, depending on the SCP, the end of the world. I wouldn't want that hanging over my head if I messed up at my site. The only governing body over site directors is the O5 Council. O5 Council member. And here we are, the top of the top of the top. I would say the god of the SCP Foundation, but seeing as they have actual gods in containment, that doesn't quite work here. The O5 Council are the highest ranking directors of the Foundation. They have complete, unfettered access to all information to do with the SCP Foundation and everything that it contains. They oversee all operations worldwide and direct all long-term strategic plans. Because their positions are considered so sensitive, they aren't allowed to come into contact with anything the Foundation contains. They are to be kept safe by all means at all times, even if it is rumored that some of them are anomalous themselves. Their names aren't even known. They are simply referred to by their numbers, 0501 to 0513. Yes, this entire organization is run by 13, maybe, people? And that's everything for this video. I would love to say that we'll get to the monsters next video, but there's still so much to learn. I hope you're enjoying this educational journey and are just as entranced by the SCP Foundation as I am. I want to thank you all for being so patient. Moving is terrible. Moving on a tight timeline all the way across the country is even worse. Hopefully, next video, I'll have a little more decorations, little less boxes, and maybe my hair will even cooperate. I'm going to try to get out videos even more often than usual after this. Thank you again. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.